Radical.
So supposedly this Super Bowl was the highest viewed one ever. But I looked online and I went to this one site that covered how well a lot of the ads did on it. And they said viewership was down several percentage points, 4 to 5 across the board. So, I mean, I don't know who to believe here. I do know that this particular year there was a whole lot more people streaming. So I don't even know. I'll tell you that just about everybody at my store on the weekend, that when I ask about who they're rooting for in the big game, they said they don't care, they might watch it, or they just wasn't going to watch it and have more important things to do. A thing cited by a lot of these people when I ask, oh, why? Did you watch last year's? A lot of them said they're just done with the plot. They pretty much understand what's going to go on. Pretty much all of them said the fix was in, that the Chiefs are going to win. They were just not having it. They weren't even going to invest and watch it because they see this season how basically the Chiefs, even though statistically they weren't anywhere near the top in the statistics in the AFC, they would see several times where Mahomes would get a call go his way, or the other team would just have something go their way that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And a lot of people thought the fix was in. They thought the NFL and the refs carried the Chiefs pretty much to the Super Bowl. And because it's a Swiftie Bowl, because Taylor Swift is there, they know the outcome, right? Well, a lot of people were pleasantly surprised when the actual opposite happened. The Eagles completely stomped the Chiefs. The Chiefs could do nothing against that defense. The 4 rush, by the way, which I'll talk about in a second here. I'm not going to talk about the game a whole lot, the details, but I'll mention one thing in a second about that 4-man rush on the defense. But a lot of people that I ask, that's pretty much the answer that they gave. And however you feel about the NFL, however you feel about the refs helping to rig games, you got to admit, at some level, sometimes you see something go a certain way and you're like, what the hell? Is the ref actually legally blind? Should he have a cane? One instance I talked about 5 or so years ago was, you remember when the Saints were playing, and I forget the names of the players, but there was a clear pass interference, meaning the player was tackled way before the ball got there, and it was just an incomplete pass. Sean Payton was freaking livid on the sideline. He was livid. And all the time, there's an instance to where you look at it and you're like, what the hell's going on here? Or there's maybe a missed tackle, but the person looks like they're actually just trying to tackle in the opposite direction. I don't know. There's just too many things that go on. And years ago, people would bring up that I'm basically just a salty hater. It's because I wanted a certain team to win or lose or whatnot, and I didn't know what I was talking about. Many of you chimed in and they told me that there's no way there's any rigging whatsoever in the NFL. Everything is completely... But the thing is, the last year or two, whether it's people on here that I talked to, through the comment section, or people in real life, a lot of people started coming around. And specifically when they started to notice that it seems like the ref calls are going, the important ones. The Chiefs still get penalties, okay? But when it comes down to the important calls, the Chiefs always seem to get the advantage. They always. And it's not just a situation where a lot of people pointed to Brady getting a lot of calls his way, but it was just overdone. Way overdone. I think it got to the point where the NFL actually started to hear what people were saying online, and they said, well, damn, pretty much everyone thinks, whether it's true or not, that we help rig these games to help the Chiefs. Specifically the last year or so, because of a little lady named Taylor Swift. But before I get into Taylor Swift, well, I'm not going to get into Taylor Swift. Travis Kelce would be pretty damn mad if I got into Taylor Swift or even attempted that and everything. Before I go into that, the 4-man rush, the big story is the 4-man rush from the Eagles defense. They just cut through that offensive line like a knife through butter. Mahomes had no time to do anything. They were on him like white on rice. He was running away. He was running away the most he could. I've never seen him run so much. He was stripped of the ball. He was sacked, and he was made to throw some ugly-looking pick sixes. I mean, They just got after him. So I'm not even going to say he had, one of the worst games of his career, because I don't see how any quarterback could really do anything with that kind of pressure. But that being said, Mahomes, I think statistically, he had the second worst game of his career. And it just happened to happen on the biggest game of all times for it to happen. But I'll finish out talking about the Taylor Swift factor in this. It's no shocker that pretty much almost everyone you talk to, unless they're a huge fan of Taylor Swift, mostly females, or a huge fan of Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they were just done. They were done with this fucking storyline. They were done with all the NFL's focus on trying to garner and bring the Swifties along and bring them on board. They were tired of all the goddamn camera cuts to Taylor Swift during the game. It became so much of a focus and a factor, and you obviously saw what the NFL was trying to do. As an entertainment-based deal, they were trying to bring in the Swifties, trying to bring them in, until it got to the point where most football fans said, fuck this shit. We don't care about this. And I think it reached its head when they saw that the Chiefs, after being handheld and carried pretty much all season by the refs, I'm not going to say they're not a good team. They are definitely a damn good team. But see, if you're a good team and you're taking on other good teams, usually what happens is the way the crucial calls go down, like in the Bills game, where Josh Allen definitely had that first down and it was not given to him. Those crucial calls always seem to determine the outcome of the game. So if you have two great teams like the Bills and the Chiefs taking on each other, then there's just like a little margin of error. And it happens, that's where the refs sometimes step in. So a lot of people were done with it. A lot of people I talked to at my store at the weekend, they said pretty much they thought the fix was in, and they're not even going to watch it. They're not rewarding the NFL with their views. But apparently, since it broke all the viewership records, maybe those people were lying and he went back on it. My thinking is a lot of people tuned in after they started to see that the Chiefs were going down, and the Eagles were just destroying them. That's my theory anyways. I might be wrong, but maybe a lot of people just tuned in to see the pylon. They tuned in to see one of the worst games the Chiefs had ever had. I think in the first quarter, Mahomes had a total of 23 yards of offense, which is the lowest amount of yards any quarterback has had since 1990. Ouch. That's terrible. But like I said, I mean, it's not like he had all the time in the world to pass and he was throwing bad passes. No, he barely had any time to really make any decisions at all, because that Eagles defensive line was just on him. They were on him, man. But still, it's kind of shitty. 23 yards. I mean, that's some terrible fucking numbers. So, and it was 24-0. I think it ballooned even at one point to 37-6 or something. I don't know. It was up there. It was a 30-point margin. They only started scoring at the end of the game in garbage time. So maybe a lot of people started to tune in when they checked their phones and saw the update of the score, and they actually just wanted to see the bloodbath. Possibly. A lot of people were saying because it went down like that, that is proof that the NFL never rigs games. That's proof the NFL never sends messages down to the refs to favor a certain team versus the others. To that I say this. Maybe the NFL, I'm not saying like they control every little aspect. I'm not saying that. But I'm just throwing this out there. If the NFL had anything to do with that game, or maybe they missed calls against the Eagles, maybe some late hits against Mahomes just didn't get called. Maybe they saw, as an entertainment organization primarily, the NFL is all about entertainment. First and foremost, you must understand this. They're all about entertainment. They're all about getting those numbers. It's a money game, all right? Maybe they saw that so many people were just completely sick and tired of, after seeing Tom Brady and the Patriots pretty much get positive calls their way, not taking away from the greatness of one Tom Brady, but seemingly seeing that, and the NFL going right from Tom Brady to Mahomes, for fuck's sake, they're on the cover of sports games together. So maybe people saw that and said, like, nah, y'all ain't doing this again. And adding Taylor Swift into the mix, your average football fan doesn't give a flying fuck about Taylor Swift. They don't. And it became so bad, maybe the NFL looked and said, you know what? Not only are we going to make sure the Chiefs get nowhere near in this game, or maybe we'll just let them play and not give a lot of calls to the Chiefs and against the Eagles. Maybe we'll just let those two teams play, like they should, and let them determine the outcome of the game just themselves. And we got the best of both worlds here. You see, we got the Chiefs to the Super Bowl, so those Swiftie fans, they're going to tune in anyways. But it doesn't mean we have to show Taylor Swift about 30 fucking times during the game. I think she was only showed once, if I'm not mistaken. And the one time she was shown, she was booed. Booed! Booed voraciously, she was booed. And maybe after hearing that, the NFL got afraid to show her again. I'm just, put this out there. Maybe the NFL said, you know what? We got some extra time. Mahomes is only 29 years old. We can come back and squeeze the milk out of that cash cow again if we want to. But maybe right now, with all the Swiftiness and all the anti-Swifties online, maybe we'll just let the Eagles go over. And as an added benefit, we can stand up here and say, oh, we heard you all about all the refs rigging the games for the Chiefs. Now what the fuck do you all have to say, huh? Yeah. So that could be a calculation also. Now, I'm not going to tell you I have inside information. I don't know anybody that works at the NFL. I'm not going to tell you 100% one way or the other if every single Super Bowl is rigged to favor one team over the other. Sometimes, who knows? Maybe they just let them play. But I damn sure will tell you, if you look at the history of the Super Bowls and many stupid, questionable decisions by certain teams, for instance, against the Patriots, the Seahawks, why the fuck didn't they just let that guy run it in? There's so many times you look at where there's a history of the NFL at some point putting it down there, putting it down to the refs to make some calls, to help the teams, to favor one team over the other. There's been a lot of Super Bowls. Doesn't mean all of them are like that. Sometimes they might just let them play. It just depends. But you have to understand. You got to understand. I got to drill it into your fucking skulls. The NFL is primarily an entertainment organization. Now that's a juicy nugget. That's a juicy little fact nugget that I'm feeding to all of you. You can take that. You can chew on it. You can digest it. And as you're digesting that fact nugget, you can think about all the times you were watching a game, rooting for your favorite team in one of the final games, the games that matter, and you saw a call that just didn't make any fucking sense. You saw a player do something that they've never done before. You saw a coach make a decision that defied all logic. You saw referees throwing out flags like they have a dozen in their back pocket just at the ready. Holding. And you think about that as you're digesting that fact nugget.